Namaste everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I want to talk about Nofap, Tantra, and semen retention and how these different ideas can work together. Sometimes they can work not so well together, and then also how Tantra and these lifestyles are essentially a way of being rather than some goal you have to reach or some strict, rigid process. So thanks everyone for checking out the channel. My name is Brett. I'm a 200-hour YTT and Usui Reiki Master. Everything I like to share about sexuality, for example, is to be taken for consideration rather than strict dogma or this is the only way that you can do things. So I want to clear up that misconception with any other videos I've made on this channel, because I do have a few other videos on the subject of semen retention and essentially how that is one of the best processes for awakening the kundalini, for being able to get this energy, the Shakti energy, to rise up the body, to be able to come into alignment with our true self, which is really in the heart. If we have a higher self and the higher mind and the higher chakras, you could say the lower self is the body and the lower part of our being. But Tantra has a very unique way of understanding this, and that comes from Taoist Tantra, Buddhist Tantra, Yogic Tantra, and now here in the West, obviously we have Neo Tantra. So I tried to be able to differentiate between the two, but also be able to explain these things to a Western mind, because I'm also someone who lives in the West and very much cherish the traditions that come from the East and these different thought processes, how the body is divine, how Tantra teaches us like our body is the temple. This is the place of worship where we can go to places to worship, but also our body is a place for prayer, for sanctity. So even sexuality, even the lower chakras, although some traditions may say, oh, once you reach these higher centers, you should never deal with these lower chakras again. And that may be true for, the different gurus and stuff like that. They have to give up certain things of the lower chakras in order to maintain the energy higher. But in our world, we have to understand Tantra also means that you can be in the world. You don't have to be so detached. That householders is, also a tantric thing, to just have kids and have a wife and have a family. And obviously if you have a partner, you have sex is an important part of that relationship. Whereas some spiritual traditions try to take out sex completely. They try to say sex is lower than, these things. And I've even been there because I've spent a lot of time in brahmacharya and renouncing the world and keeping my eye and my heart on God and keeping my life in that upward ascent of energy. And I found, especially being young, that Nofap, or suppressing this energy completely, which is what a lot of the semen retention out there seems to talk about, is that you should just give up your sexuality completely. You should definitely avoid women. Now, I don't advise anyone to go out there and just do tantra with anyone, because you're exchanging energy in sex. You're exchanging energy, not just the tantric aspect of sex, but in this video, that's what we're talking about. So be mindful of who you share that energy with, and you'll start to realize how sacred that energy is. And when you start to look deeper, that suppression isn't the answer, especially for a young male like me, or even for anyone in their younger years. And this is where you start to find balance within yourself, is that you can actually have a sexual relationship with yourself. You can, learn to master your ejaculation rather than always ejaculating. You can learn to realize the sacredness of sexuality, that it's not something evil, it's not some lower part of our being, it's actually a part of us that should be integrated. And Now, other traditions may say other things, and that's perfectly okay too. But what I'm starting to learn on my path is the more I allow the natural flow of sexual energy rather than trying to force it down and make it obedient. And that's what you should do. You should take time in strictness, in celibacy, and learning how to navigate life from your own perspective. And sometimes that means renouncing. It means stopping certain things. But then what if that can even be an imbalance? If you go too long on semen retention, you may experience problems with with how that energy is supposed to work. If you want to have children one day, you don't want to completely stop the natural function of your body's ability to reproduce. Now, some guys say you should go about a month without ejaculating, some more, 2, 3. You can really go on monk mode, 4 or 5 months. I feel like that's probably one of the longest I've made, is about 5 months, 180 days. And that got really intense. So I'm starting to learn that balance, that maybe once a month even could be good. Other sources say even more frequently to have ejaculation. So it's interesting to learn this balance with ourselves and learn to love ourselves, learn to love pleasure, even learn to love all of the chakras, all of the energy centers, all of the experiences as a human being, rather than if you've done this, then you should only be here. And that's a lot of the messages I've heard and seen out there. And I've also seen the tantric perspective, which is all about balancing our experiences, to not be so caught up in the spiritual that we have to go and always be in this perfectly heightened state all the time, that we can never enjoy love or a glass of wine. That's another tantric thing. Like, don't be an alcoholic, but what is if it's created, why is it there? And then, tantrics may even eat meat as well, as something that from a traditional perspective in yoga is all strictly vegetarian. It was all strictly non-alcoholic and brahmacharya and all that stuff. And like I said, that's fine if that's the path you're choosing, the aesthetic life, and you're choosing to be, a monk and just in that energy all the time. But I want to make this video as a clarification to any other videos I've made, but also check those out too, because as my awareness expands, so will these videos, so will all the things I share. And I hope the same for you as well, that you learn to don't be so rigid on yourself, don't be so hard on yourself. No matter where you are in your journey, if you're just starting semen retention, if you feel the need to practice nofap, even to have no sexual conduct, you've been so addicted your whole life to the lustful side of sexuality, but there is an erotic, sensual side to sexuality, and that is the Shakti, that is part of Kundalini. Whereas some will like I said, oh, Kundalini is only supposed to be at the top, and once you get there, you should never experience that again. And to me, that seems wrong. It doesn't seem natural. It doesn't seem fully integrated with what my experiences have shown. So I want to make that clarification to everyone, but do your best to retain your seed. The longer you can prolong that journey and find that balance that's right for you, you will experience Kundalini awakening very naturally. If you keep your heart and mind in God, and faith and love to one another, even in hard times, because you may even get made fun of for starting semen retention. I've gotten a lot of attention that felt very unnecessary just because I even said the word semen, when people are used to just letting it go every day. And that's your life force energy as a male. That's your ability to create life. It's a very sacred thing. For women, their sexual energy works a little differently. So, they get in tune with their energy in their own way. But for a guy, that's your ability to create life. So the more you harness that energy, the more you learn to channel this, to have a yogic practice, a discipline, the more your life will start to flow in the direction you're wanting to go. The more you're going to find peace within yourself, even when those voices and those outside sources of people saying, well, this is the right way to do it. No, this is the right way to do it. And why would you do it like this? And all these things, it keeps us divided from ourselves often. And I always like to make the reminder that yoga is a state of union. It isn't just practices. It isn't just asanas. It isn't just one of these things or the other. It's a very holistic way of understanding, and especially from the tantric perspective, that all things are interconnected. Our body is divine. Our body is one with all of creation. And when we respect creation, we also give our respect and love back to our Creator. So that's the union that we're talking about here. I hope everyone enjoyed this video. If you'd like to check out some of the others, please check out the links in the description. We also have music and mantra meditations on the channel, and you can always reach out to us or subscribe on Patreon for monthly subscriptions to learn about yoga, to learn about all these things on a deeper level, as well as the asana. Start building your own asana practice, mantra practice, and meditation practice, and I'm here to help and assist in any way that I can. So reach out to us there, check out the links in the description, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this, and I will see you all soon for another video. Namaste.